Hello friends, today we will learn about GNS3, how to start GNS3 and how can we configure GNS3 and how can we access GNS3 for our practical sessions. So let's learn what GNS3 is exactly. GNS3 is just a graphical network simulator that allow you to design complex network topology. Even I can say that we can create a simple configuration also on GNS3, but most probably we are using GNS3 for our complex network topology. There we can test our network, then after we before we are going to implement in our real life. So it's just used for the complex network topology, and we can do anything whatever you want to access or whatever you want to configure on our related to networking. You wish to configure a complex network and you want to test before implementing in your real life, then you can test it on your GNS3 simulator. So you may run simulations or configure devices ranging from simple workstation to powerful Cisco routers. So this is basically used to configure any kind of device. You can use a firewall, IPS, IDS, and any kind of devices you can use over here. It uses normally workstation and virtual box and some other things. So this was the GNS3. Just in simple words, we can say it's just a simulator that is used to provide or to configure a network for the testing purpose only. So the next thing is that we must know about QEMU and VirtualBox. So let's see, to run virtual node in simulated network. The GNS3 open source network simulator support two type of virtualization technology. One is QEMU and second is VirtualBox. The open source routers we will use in a GNS3 simulated network must run on either a QEMU or VirtualBox hypervisor. Depending on one's requirement, one might choose either VirtualBox or QEMU. So we will see what kind of virtualization we will use in our environment or in our practical session. And one more thing, that is the important thing, I like to use Wireshark most of the time when I am performing practicals on GNS3. Actually Wireshark is something that give you the real-time analysis, or it provides you the real-time outputs what the devices is doing currently and what is the output is going behind the scene. So Wireshark is a free and open source packet analyzer. It is used for network troubleshooting, analysis, software and communication protocol development and education. So these were about the Wireshark, VirtualBox and GNS3. So we will start with the installation of GNS3, that how can we install GNS3 on our system, then how can we start and configure the GNS3, then we will start accessing GNS3 on our real simulator, then we will access the devices on GNS3, Cisco routers and firewalls and some other devices. So we have downloaded the GNS3 software, and I have also downloaded GNS3 router images, and in we are containing router C 2691 router, 3725 router and 7200 router, and also I have downloaded firewall image 8 ASA 842. So we will configure it in later videos, but today we will learn only about the Cisco, how can we configure GNS3, and then we can how can we access router on GNS3. So let's start the installation process for GNS3. So double click on the software, then it will ask for the privilege to provide it access that we want to install GNS3, and it's will start the installation process. It's just the agreement, we need to install it, and next. And these are the things that we need to install on our GNS3, like the putty. You know, when we are accessing routers on GNS3, then we can access those routers via putty software. This is something give you the real-time environment, real-time experience. There is a QEMU and Wireshark also there. Wireshark also will be installed during the time. So this is the location where we will install our GNS3 software. It will be in this, and we need space around 179 MB. So we have enough space available on our C drive installation. And see, we need WinPcap 4.1.3. It is already downloaded in GNS3. So we will start with WinPcap. It will be started when our system will be booted, and then it's already finished, and we are again on GNS3 setup. So it started extracting the files, and now see we are on Wireshark, so we need to install Wireshark also. So I'm just going to install Wireshark, and Wireshark will be installed right away. So the Wireshark installation is on progress, and as soon as Wireshark will be installed, then we will again back to our GNS3 setup. So as soon as Wireshark will be installed, its setup was completed successfully. Then next and finish. Wireshark has been installed, and now finally we back to our GNS3. So GNS3 installation is on progress. So we have successfully installed our GNS3. Then I will just go with next, and it asking for the email, but I am not going to provide any email address. Are you sure you don't want to sign up? Yes, I'm sure I don't need to sign up with GNS3. And finally, I want to start my GNS3 and see our GNS3 has been started. So see, this is the important section. Newer GNS3 version is available. Do you want to visit our website for download it? No, I want to use this GNS3 right now. So see, setup wizard is saying that we have to go these three steps. Configure the path to your OS images, iOS, QEMU, PIX, etc directory. So the first step is that we need to configure our router, that where from the router will access the operating system. So let's go on the desktop. Here we have downloaded some router images, 2691 router image, 23725 and 7200. So on see if I'm just not going to exit it. Let's go through all three steps. So first of all, we need to configure a router for the particular perfect image path. Then okay, so in second step we need to provide the valid path for the dynamics that we have mounted the image of the router, and in third step we need to set the idle PC value that will be used for the router, that to use minimum CPU utilization for our from our computer. So I'm not going to click over, you can just click over here, see you will be reached to directly preferences, and I'm not going to set there. Okay, I will set those things later on. So first of all, let's see that we have some boxes here: console session, topology summary and capture. So I'm just going to remove it. Okay, so it's better now. So when I will go on router, then I will see I cannot pick any router because there is no router configured for our GNS3. So first of all, we need to set router image. See, and when we will go our desktop, then we will see that we have downloaded some router images, 2691, 3725 and 7200. So we need to configure our GNS3 for those routers. So let's go in edit, then after iOS images and hypervisor. See, the section is iOS images. So I need to set the path for those images from this location, and I will just browse it. Then I will go on desktop. Our where is our folder GNS3 router image, and I am going with 2691. And see, I have just put the image, and see in GNS3 the router we are using, that will use our real PC RAM and everything. So see, the default RAM is 128. You can increase or decrease according to you. And one more thing is there is a idle PC value. There is no value in this section, so we will set it later on when we will start with router. So I will save this image. As soon as I will save, you will see warning idle PC value will have to be configured, but I will configure it later on. Close. And if you want to see now, let's go on router and see this router is available now. You can use this router for your practical sessions. It's little bit slower. So there is no other router usable in our GNS3. I'm just going again in edit, iOS images and image, browse, and then desktop, and I am just going with GNS3, and let's see 7200. Open it. Then I need to save it, and see we have set two router image, and then just close it. Now when I will go with router section, then I will see that 7200 router is also available right now. So in this, by this method, we have just configured our GNS3 to how to use router in GNS3. If you have some images of 1700, 2600, 3600, 37 and some other router, you can also use the Juniper router in GNS3 also. There is no issue. So right now, so in this some, let's go with some basic things like this section is just blank project, but in main things we need to know about it. This scenario is just to show the icons of the port numbers, and this is to start all device, this is the suspend, and this is stop all device, this is reload all device, and this is the virtual section. We will cover it later on. And these are some images, like you want to create an image like this in your practical session, like say, yeah, this is our sorry, I want to create a scenario like this. This is my company A, and these two routers comes in company A, and I can write anything by this section, company A. Oops. COMPANY, company A. So this is company A scenario, and in this scenario we can just drag and drop over here, and we can increase the size, and this is something little bit interesting while you are working with router sections. This is my company B. So in this scenario you can create your own networks, whatever you wish, company B. So these are some diagrams you want to connect. So right now we how to get start with their router. So I'm just removing everything from my project, and I have just removed everything. You can just remove, just select everything, and just use the delete button from the screen, from the keyboard. I'm just going to select the router 2691. I will just put it, and I'm just using one more router. See, if you are working continue on your GNS3, then the number will be continue R1, R2, R3, and R4 and R5. I'm just going to, this is the cable section. You can pick a cable, and when I will just click on R4 router, you will see there are two interface, FA0 by 0 and FA0 by 1. I want to insert cable FA0 by 0, and when I will go with R5, then I can insert FA0 by 0. And see, I need to free my cursor, so you can click over here, or if you can use escape key. So both are available for you. So I have connected both router on a particular port number, but I don't know on which port this cable is plugged into. So here you can see the port cable is plugged in FA0 by 0, but I want to see on my project on screen, then you can use this option. I am using this option. So in this scenario I can use, so by this method we can see the port labels are here, that this router is connected, this cable is connected on this router on port number FA0 by 0. So I want to connect one more cable on this router to that router, but see, we don't see any serial port, and if you are implementing a routing protocol, then you need to make some WAN connection, and WAN connection are configured on serial interface. So we need to configure, I'm just using escape key from my keyboard. So we need to configure our router. I'm just going with configure, and on this R4, and see slots. Right now we have only single slot. You can add more slots by this section. And see, I am just want to configure some fast Ethernet slot. This is your fast Ethernet slot, and this is your wide area interface slot, where you can connect your serial interface. See, I have selected NM1FETX, and here WIC1T. Okay, actually I need to apply before, but no worry. I am just going with cable, and see, we have some more ports now. Serial 0 by 0, FA1 by 0, FA0 by 1, FA0 by 0. So in this by this method we can add some more ports on our router, and let's go on the, R5 router, and I'm doing the same thing, but I'm just going to add serial interface only. So right now we can add serial 0 by 0, and on this router serial 0 by 0. See, so we have connected two cables on both router, but I want to remove one cable. Delete. I have just removed fast Ethernet cable, and both router are connected by serial cable. So how I just removed cable, right click on cable and just use delete button, or you can use like this method. So this was the just method how to put router on our GNS3 and then configure for cabling and basic things. So there is router is still shut down. So how can we get start the router? We can just go on right click on router, then we can start our router. If you are using first time router or GNS on your system, then it will be a little bit slower, because this is something a real time simulation, so it will use your more resources from the system. So router has been started. So how can I see router prompt on my system? So I need to use a putty software. Right click, and then I'm just going with console. See, I am into the router. Yeah, that's good. So there is one more thing. I want to save my resources. I mean to say that I need to set idle PC value. This value will be helpful to overcome your system resources. Apply, okay. Idle PC value has been applied on R4 router. You don't need to calculate idle PC value for every router. You just need to calculate idle PC value for a particular model number router. Right now I have just configured idle PC value for 2691. So later on, whenever I will use 2691 router, then it will use less resources from my laptop or desktop. So this was the just very basic thing. I just need to in this scenario, if you want to power on all of your devices on your practical session, then you can just use this button. See, R5 will be powered on because R4 is already on. If you want to suspend, if you want to stop, use that. And this is the console session, all device console. See, we have R4 and R5 session. I'm just going to close it, and we have two prompt open for R4 and R5. So this was the general introduction about GNS3 and router section, that how can you connect router and how can you access router. In this scenario, you can save your project. This action is going to stop all your devices to capture. Would you like to continue anyway? Yes. I'm just going to save basic config. I have not configured any router, so I don't need to worry about NVRAM data. So my project is saved on my system. So these are software you can use. Actually I am just not good with these two prompts. If I am using 5 or 6 router on my practical, then I need to go like this, and I will select R4, then I will select R5, then I will select R5 1 2 3 and so on. So it's not good. So in to overcome this problem, we can use a third party software. I will show you right now. So I don't want to see the number of routers in my window, that I need to go with R5 like this and R4 like this, and there will be confusion in this like this behavior. So I need to install a one more software that is known as a Execute CRT. So I have just downloaded it and I just got a key. That is not illegal, but I am using it. So we need to install Dex software. To what is the purpose of this software? It will allow all of the router to access on a single environment, and we will configure it with the, we need to collaborate it with GNS3. Then whenever you will use a router, then that router prompt will be opened in this software. Oops, we had a problem. So this problem we are facing just because of that we have downloaded 64-bit operating system setup, and currently we are using 32-bit operating system. See, we are using 32-bit. So this is not compatible for our operating system. So this section we will learn in another video. I will just set the how to use secure CRT with GNS3 later on, but right now we just access that how can you set the images for our router in this section, iOS and hypervisor, and how can you access router on our GNS3. And in the switch section, switch is already configured, and most of the practical are not performed on GNS3, because in this section you cannot access switch with the command prompt. It is just used to connect the intermediate device. For example, you want to connect two router, one router is here and another is here. You just want to connect two router with a switch, then you can connect two router with a switch. So we can connect routers via switch. So this will be like an intermediate device, and you don't need to configure switch for to use switch on GNS3. Most of the practicals of switch is performed on packet tracer only. So in this section we just need to configure router, and later on I will just go with the how to configure router. And most of the time you know that conf t interface fa0x0 IP address 10.0.1 to 55000 and no shutdown. This is the configuration you are doing the all the time on packet tracer and all. So it was just about the GNS3, and later on we will configure a new, I will just show you some new demonstration with the GNS3, then how can we fine tune GNS3 and we can use in a easy way GNS3. And thanks for watching. Thank you.